and welcome, folks. It's a brand new day for another social injustice that we must tackle. We heard your problems that needed to be addressed, so we shall become everyone's voice against the government's silence. Voices for Justice will aid you in every situation and iniquity. Together, we shall face these problems and become the better that we are. I am Mhea, one of your hosts in today's podcast.
That's right, Mira. We are your hostess for this morning. I am Hyacinth Jade.
I am Reychel.
And I am Destiny, and together, let us discuss the callings of the people who felt oppressed with their problems. So Mira, what seems to be the problem of our dear listeners?
Well, Destiny, we've received a call from various people. It's quite known that the Philippines is in a poverty line. Our country may look like it's flourishing while under many administrations. However, if you were to dig deeper, I really can say that it's indeed improving.
Well, in a sense, there are a lot of things that are lacking here in the country. But for today's podcast, we will be talking one of the major social issues. One of them, or the spotlight today's main issue, is the wages of Filipino workers.
Oh, that's quite heavy to talk. But do tell, what did our listeners say?
Well, let us first give some context before delving into this issue. According to Philippine Statistics Authority, data shows how workers in the Philippines are paid less. But why when people say that our country is improving? Such a question, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, it is because of the debts that the government takes. The more the debts are raised, the more the prices become high for purchase. With the prices of products reaching a such increased pace, then the more the wages here in our country wouldn't suffice for a whole family in a whole day.
That's right, Hyacinth. Did you all know that the government even established a price that they think could suffice our whole day meal? What was the price set by NEDA?
Well, I believe that it was set to 64 pesos if I'm not wrong. What's even ironic is that they think that 64 pesos has a healthy amount of food consumption when it was purely canned goods and noodles that were quite the price. The NEDA pointed out that the price was enough to feed a whole family, but it's not.
Exactly. It was very insulting. They clearly didn't think of it correctly.
Correct mundo. Do you know that the average worker only earns 400 pesos a day? Much worse is that people who rely on agriculture only earn quite a handful of amount.
Quite harsh for those people when we rely on them so badly for resources.
Well, anyway, as we have already given a background, let us now talk about why wages are crucial to be solved and be responded to immediately. We all know how money is important to survive, given the fact that the prices get higher and higher almost every day. With our wages, we can provide support and aid our needs and wants to continue our lives. However, with low wages, how can we even compete with the growing demands of the society that involves money in the process?
That is the sad truth. Many Filipinos are suffering from the lack of enough financial earnings due to company regulations and the way jobs differ from one another. However, even some professionals who earn their degrees are suffering from the lack of proper wage given to them. The nurses, way back during the pandemic, they weren't paid enough even now.
What's more of it, it's those people who does not own any degrees and are sued because of it. Shall we listen to one of the people we interviewed?
Good morning, sir. Asa na ka nagtrabaho karon, sir?
Di majestic.
Unsa po di mo position sa imong trabaho, sir?
Stockman ako diya, tig-kuhan ako, tig-assist sa mga, tig-takos sa bugas, o mga uban pa klase-klaseng mga baligya.
Base sa imong estimate sa imong sweldo, sir, pila po imong income ang monthly or week?
Gamay ra gyud sa igo ra gyud makabayad ko sa akong mga
Nga
bayro
pila
na.
jud siya, sir, ang estimate nimo?
Mga kuan ra mga 4 3 ana ra. Kay daghan kay kog utang.
Unsa nga for, sir?
4K kundi 3K ana.
Okay, sir. So, fourth question, sir, kanang kuan ba sa imong trabaho, sir, kanang okay ra sa imong trabaho karon?
Okay na lang. Mita. Kulang na huwag kaya. Kulang na kayo man.
Last question, sir, is kuan.
Okay pa rin yan.
Kanang sakto ra ba sa imong sweldo nga maka-provide sa imong mga gastoon?
Usay kulangon. Usay kung wako'y absent. Kulang yun. Sakto naman siya. Pero kulangan pagyapon ba eh?
Mora, sir.
Maura yun.
Thank you kay sir ha sa pag
Salamat po sa
Answer.
pagwan.
So hearing this is saddening. Of course, some workers does loan in order to aid them. But to think that they earn this much is disheartening. 3,000 to 4,000 pesos a week is not enough for 2 weeks. The bills, the loans, and even allowance can guarantee that you live life comfortably.
Right? A sack of rice is already at its best, 2,000 pesos, while basic canned goods or the meats have increased their price. If the cost of living is low, that still doesn't guarantee that it will be comfortable. Meralco and other electrical companies from each region has increased the price due to unfavorable situations. What more can we do about it?
With the world changing in a breakneck speed, where we compete with the surrounding, it is unfortunate to say that they'll increase further and further. Inflation is rising day by day. Anyway, let's hear the next interview.
Good morning, sir. What is your name?
Hello ma'am, good morning. I am John Mark Ekib.
Where do you work?
I work here in Velia Steel Corporation.
What do you do as a worker, sir?
I am a caster, a casting machine operator that produces metal steel.
Kanang based on your own estimation, mga pila ka imuhang gakatigom ani nga trabaho per month?
So far, akong gakaroon gyud is 12,000 per 15 days. So in a 1 month, I have
Around 25.
around 25,000.
Do you think that your wage is worth your job?
Yes,
Why?
it's worth it and
So far, okay siya
siya,
nga.
okay.
Do you think your wage is enough to provide for your expenses?
yes,
Of course. Kita ko
Of course.
ba, no?
ito ka na kagaya.
And mo ang adlawan is
Ang adlawan is nako sa minimum rate 440 and plus overtime lagi ka 900.
wow. Salamat kay Sir ba.
Thank you.
Well, there are still some workers who thinks their job is worth it. To earn 25,000 a month is splendid. But what does it cost? Overtime. However, we should not react badly. Even Mr. Tukib confirmed that his job and life is stable from working in a steel company.
I salute these people who remain positive, but who could blame them? An 8 hours a day job with overtime can really help increasing their wages. It's not that bad and quite larger than most companies.
It's also great to hear that Mr. Tugib is not agonizing on the fact that his money won't be enough to sustain his daily needs. He seems very happy with his job.
So there you have it, folks. There are still people who earn satisfiable. On to the next listener that we've interviewed.
What's your name?
Teresa Barros.
Asa ka nagtrabaho?
Diri sa kantin sa Villanueva Stel.
What do you do as a worker? Ano sa imo ang gabuhaton?
Magluto.
Magluto. Based sa imong own estimation, pila imong gakatigom ani nga trabaho per month?
Wala joy matigom kato sa utang.
How much ata imong bulan diri? Bali pila imong 15 days?
5.
5, so 1 month is around 10.
Yes.
Do you think that your wage is worth your job? Kuan ba siya kanang enough ba siya para sa enough ba imong sweldo ani nga trabaho for you?
Niangay ba imuhang trabaho ani nga sweldo?
Niangay, okay ra.
Okay. Do you think your wage is enough para maka-provide ka sa imong mga panginahanglanon?
Pero
Kapalit sa inyo.
kulang pag siya no.
Kulang pa na.
Kulang.
Pila day mong anak ti?
3. Nya college bi akong salita.
So kulang siya.
Kulang siya.
So far, wala po'y problem sa kanang paghatag sa sweldo, like delay, wala.
Wala sa.
Wala si. Thank you, te.
What I've realized is that your wage matters if you have a big family or just by living alone. It is normal in the Philippines, or it has become normal, that every family is big. Quite the problem actually when it comes to making your wage enough for the whole family.
Well, I do understand Mrs. Barro's sentiments. It's really hard to earn and to balance everything when it comes to sustaining needs, especially if your kids are in higher education. It's very costly.
I agree. It's really hard to live below the minimum wage. It's never enough to feed the family.
Moving on, let's hear from our listeners.
What's your name po?
Hi, my name is Charlene Bien.
Where do you work?
I work from a tile outlet.
What do you do as a worker?
My work is encoder and also a cashier.
Base your own estimation. How much do you earn?
Based on my estimation, it's 10k. But pag less yung benefits, syempre, below 10k.
Do you think that your wage is worth your job?
No, kasi I work 2 jobs.
Do you think your wage is enough to provide your expenses?
It's not enough kasi high cost yung living sa city. Well, in my case, kasi sa city ako before, yes, malaking factor yung hindi enough yung sahod ko dahil high cost of living sa city. Well, kasi before, bago ako mag-city, province ako, so mas madaling maghanap ng pwedeng madaling lutuin na pagkain sa province. Well, sa city kasi, ang mamahal ng mga gulay sa supermarket.
Living in a city has its advantages and its disadvantages. However, in Miss Bian's case, living in a city is costly because of its cost of living. The prices there has skyrocketed due to the infrastructure and many more variables that affect their living. If the budget of 20k a month is already considered good in the province, it's never enough if you live in a city.
I agree. The lifestyle is different from the province. Working 2 jobs to support oneself is even more tiring. Miss Bian's salary, estimating into 20,000, is a result of working 2 jobs to sustain herself. See, it really does matter where you live.
Well, if you're earning whether in the province or not, both situation is still hard.
Yes, that's correct. It's very hard when wages are lower than what we expect. Now, shall we hear the last interviewed listener?
What's your name?
Erlin Bacos.
Where do you work?
CDO Builders Hardware.
What do you do as a worker?
I am a purchaser / telemarketer / customer service.
Based on your own estimation, how much do you earn?
15k a month.
Do you think that your wage is worth your job?
No.
Why?
Tungod kay daghan kay ko kaning job descriptions. Like my job is pang 5 persons siya. So, I think it's not worth it. The pressure, the time, the effort. No.
Do you think your wage is enough to provide your expenses?
Yes, for the expenses, but when you say about savings, no. Just for the expenses.
So according to Miss Bacos, her job is worth for 5 person and she only works for 15,000 pesos. It's kinda unfair to work into a demanding job only to receive such low income.
She also mentioned the pressure, the time, and the effort she put into the job is not worth the job. It may be good for the expenses, but do you know what these scholars lack or have similarities?
What?
Really?
Is that so?
Is that even though their jobs are quite satisfactory on their behalf, they still did not save any amount due to their expenses. I wouldn't call it that your income is enough if there are no savings being accumulated over the years of working.
Even if there are savings, it wouldn't still be enough since our interviewees have shared that it is only enough for them to buy things they need. I doubt that it would be enough plus the savings.
So what can we do?
There are actually a lot of ways to address the minimum wage here in our country. First, we should enhance labor laws to protect the workers' rights, ensure compensation, and regulate working conditions. Another thing is the government or companies should adjust the minimum wage for workers to keep pace with the cost of living and inflation. That their salaries is sufficient and meets the standard of the society.
We should also support small and medium enterprises to help them grow, increase productivity in our country, and create better job opportunities with better pay. This leads to productivity improvement.
Speaking of productivity improvement, the government should also minimize the unemployment rate by equipping workers with skills and helping them get better jobs rather than letting it increase. The government should also address corruption and exploitation that undermine fair compensation for workers.
I would also like to say that the government should stop fictitious opinions about the living arrangement in this country. Because no one can survive at 64 pesos a day, given the transportation, food expenses, and other bills that doesn't seem enough even its context is merely feed a family.
Oops, it seems that we have run out of time to further address the issue of wage. Can someone summarize everything before we end our discussion?
Certainly. Well, for starters, wages are set to consider the cost of society, but as prices hike up with no improvements for raising workers' wages to fend for themselves, this causes a lot of problems for each and every family. As mentioned by our callers, there are several factors also as to why wages weren't enough. Their bills, how big their family, the cost of living, and even savings. It's as if that our wages exist only to disappear at the same time. It's up to us to advocate that the real problem here isn't the workers nor the wages, but rather the weak constitution that does not provide more for our laborers.
Well said, Destiny. There you have it, folks. Even though our wages may be enough for everyone, it still does not justify the fact that most Filipinos suffer from low wages set by society, where some are exploited by their efforts or some are working just to survive.
Such a cruel world for workers who are maximized every day.
This is Voice for Justice, where we share your stories and be the voice of the people's grievances over social issues. Once again, I am Mierashane.
I am Hyacinth.
I am Reychel.
And I am Destiny. Voice for Justice, the ears and the mouths of those who are oppressed. May God bless everyone and have a good morning. Thank you for listening.
Goodbye! Thank you for listening.